Good morning, everyone. Rob Bonta, California Attorney General here. Thank you for joining us today. I want to begin by thanking the team here at the California Department of Justice responsible for DOJ's Assembly Bill 1506 work, our hardworking attorneys and public servants in the Criminal Law Division, and our Division of Law Enforcement, including our California Police Shooting Investigation teams, nearly 36 special agents and supervisors, along with criminalists and support staff who work around the clock at all hours of the day and night to investigate all incidents of an officer-involved shooting resulting in the death of an unarmed civilian in California. These public servants undertake no small task. It's a Herculean one. They serve among the most important roles, not just at DOJ, but the entire state, building trust through transparency. That trust makes all of us safer, community members and our state's law enforcement officers. Historically, these incidents had been primarily handled by local law enforcement and district attorneys. But a little over a year ago, that changed when my office implemented AB 1506, a landmark law for trust and transparency, authored by Assemblymember Kevin McCarty, which I was proud to co-author with Assemblymember McCarty. Since implementation, we have launched 25 officer-involved shooting investigations across the state. In these investigations, we are thorough, leaving no stone unturned. It takes time, but after much work, some of our investigations are nearing a close, and today we will announce the outcome of our first AB 1506 case. But before we get to this announcement, I want to highlight the important changes AB 1506 brought about and how our department engages in this work. One of the most important tasks for public safety and our society is building and maintaining trust between our communities and law enforcement. Impartial, fair investigations and independent reviews of officer-involved shootings are an essential component for achieving that. We must have accountability and transparency. They generate trust, and trust in turn generates safety. As I said when I announced our implementation of AB 1506 last summer, this effort is personal for me. I've heard firsthand the hurt and the pain that so many families and communities feel in the moments after these incidents. I've witnessed the lack of trust that some have that investigations will be treated fairly by our criminal justice system. These critical incidents are never easy, but the tools and procedures we brought about through AB 1506 are a chance to insert more transparency and accountability into these investigations. In that spirit, we've embraced a fair, impartial process where the California Department of Justice follows the facts and nothing else, as we seek to ensure every Californian is afforded equal justice under the law. That process at a high level looks like the following. When a critical incident occurs that may qualify under the parameters established by AB 1506, members of DOJ's teams, on notification by local law enforcement, immediately deploy to the incident scene. When the case qualifies under AB 1506, we make a public announcement, list the case on DOJ's website, and update its status, and ultimately, its outcome. The teams work in coordination with local responding agencies throughout the investigation of the officer-involved shooting. They serve as concurrent, independent, special agent investigators of these critical incidents. Once the initial investigation has been completed, the matter is then turned over to the Criminal Law Division for review. Any administrative or civil investigation remains the sole responsibility of the employing law enforcement agency, not us. In addition, local authorities maintain responsibility for the investigation of collateral offenses that may have occurred in conjunction with the officer-involved shooting. In other words, if another suspected crime was committed during or around the officer-involved shooting incident, these types of matters will generally remain at the local level. As needed, our teams conduct additional follow-up investigation into the officer-involved shooting to ensure a comprehensive, independent review of these serious, deadly incidents. Once our team has completed its review, DOJ will make public our determinations regarding a potential criminal prosecution either through a written report explaining why charges aren't appropriate, or we will file criminal charges. We act as an independent outside agency on these critical cases in line with the law's requirements. The final charging decisions are up to this office and no one else. That is our process in high-level summary, and that gets me to our announcement today. Today, my office is releasing a report on the death of Matthew James Sova. Mr. Sova was shot and killed by two officers of the Los Angeles Police Department on July 15th, 2021. LAPD officers Christopher Tabella and Isaiah Galvez responded to a call regarding a man with a gun, Hollywood Boulevard. They contacted Mr. Sova, who pointed what appeared to be a pistol, but was actually a lighter that looked like a firearm, at Officer Tabella. The officers fatally shot Mr. Sova. After a thorough investigation and complete review of the evidence, California Department of Justice has determined that there is insufficient evidence to support criminal charges. As required by the law, my office has also issued specific policy and practice recommendations related to the incident. Make no mistake, there is no scenario where the loss of someone's life to violence is something we should accept as the normal course of things. DOJ conducted a comprehensive, objective, and independent investigation. In all, 7 non-sworn emergency response personnel and 13 civilian witnesses were interviewed, and 1 incident scene was processed for evidence. As a whole, hundreds of hours of investigation were conducted by DOJ, LAPD, DOJ's Bureau of Forensic Services, and the LAPD Crime Lab. As part of the review of the incident, the evidence analyzed included, among other things, police reports, witness statements, body-worn camera footage, surveillance footage, the autopsy report, medical records, photographs, and more. After a detailed analysis, DOJ concluded there was substantial evidence that officers Galvez and Tabella acted in self-defense and in the defense of others. Therefore, under the applicable legal standards, there is insufficient evidence to pursue criminal charges. The report released today is the final step in the DOJ's review of the fatal shooting and is limited solely to determining whether criminal charges should be brought against the involved officers and possible policy and practice recommendations. While the report does not encompass or comment on any potential administrative or civil actions, it does contain a detailed summary of the incident and investigation, a thorough legal analysis, and policy and practice recommendations made to LAPD. I encourage all of you to read it. Separately, as required by AB 1506, my office is today issuing several policy and practice recommendations to LAPD in relation to the incident. Among those recommendations, LAPD should ensure personnel are informed and trained on policies, processes, and procedures related to the engagement of LAPD's mental evaluation unit. Given the initial 911 call for assistance, undertake a review of the specific events to evaluate if the harm to Mr. Sova and potential risk to officers could have been avoided. Similarly, evaluate whether other resources should have been deployed to address a potential mental health crisis. Determine whether LAPD's policies, processes, procedures, and training for the development of tactical action plans were properly executed in this case. Develop guidance for officers to support them in developing techniques for using deadly force in a manner that minimizes the risk of harm to each other and to innocent bystanders, and ensure all personnel are familiar with and trained on LAPD's use of force policy. I'm grateful to all involved for their willingness to work with my office throughout this investigation. At the California Department of Justice, we will continue to fight and advocate for the change we need, and my heart goes out to Mr. Sova's family, friends, and loved ones. AB 1506 was a landmark California law. It was passed to improve transparency in policing and strengthen trust between our communities and law enforcement. But one law alone cannot bring about all the change our criminal justice system needs. It will take sustained work by all of us, law enforcement and the community, to ensure the justice and safety every Californian deserves is provided, civilian and officer. As your Attorney General, I'm committed to this sustained work. all of us at DOJ are. Thank you to all involved who worked with my office, and my heart again goes out to Mr. Soba's family, loved ones. With that, I'll take any questions you may have, and I'll be joined by Deputy Attorney General Ed Skelly and Special Agent Supervisor Sam Richardson, who are subject matter experts on this investigation.